In interest of full disclosure, I'm a retired state employee, registered nurse, and worked at Cimarron Hospital for 30 years. So I appreciate Mr. Putnam pointing out, the level of disability that, the patients that live there, and they do live there, it's their home. We've struggled through the years to have appropriate staffing levels, and that's always an issue. It seems, so my question is sort of twofold. I've been fortunate enough to be the union president for the State Employed Registered Nurses for about 25 years. And I spent my days here down at the Rhode Island Veterans Home, the beautiful new $140 million Rhode Island Veterans Home. And while it's beautiful, the staffing is also a problem there. They run on any given day, that place is more than 50% staffed with agency personnel. So you don't know from day to day who's going to be in there taking care of you. It's not quite so bad at ZAM, but at the Veterans Home, it's terrible. And they will tell you from General Backus down, will tell you, they beg to have the appropriate staffing, to have people who are committed, that's their job, that's going to, they're going to stay there for a long time. So my question, I guess, is twofold. I think, to me, it's disrespectful to the veterans to not provide the appropriate staffing and the appropriate skill mix to take care of the people and what they need. Secondly, I think it's disrespectful to the families that are trying so hard to put their faith in the caregivers that are trying to do their job. And then the second part of my question is, there seems to be really a push toward privatization. And if you look at what's happening with sort of if you just take a look at UHIP and all of the staff from Deloitte that's in there doing the jobs that were formerly state employed workers, those people don't live here. They're not spending their money here. If you hire somebody to be, to work at DHS, typically they work in the state, they have a family in the state, they're invested in the state, they spend their money in the state, they pay taxes in the state. Deloitte does none of those things. We provide them office space, we heat their office, we cool their office, we give them computers, we do everything, and we give them huge salaries, and they go home with their money in their pockets and spend it somewhere else. So I guess that's sort of a long, I'm not quite sure if you want to touch on any of that.
Yeah, no, but I do. I absolutely do. Which actually dovetails into the question about the UHIP, and I got the answer on it. But on Deloitte, I cannot believe that we re-signed with Deloitte. Because the problems, first of all, Deloitte has had problems not just here in Rhode Island, but in other jurisdictions as well. But from what I'm hearing, this whole UHIP computer system is in shambles, and it still is. I remember sitting on the debate stage, the past 2 debate stages, when this first came up, and the government said, oh, it's coming, the times are coming down, and we're providing the resources. She's being misleading, like she always likes to be, because she's talking about only one component, the food stamp component, which, by the way, had to be under federal court oversight in order to get that going. There's still people, long-term care, Medicaid benefits, all these other touch points that are still a disaster. And, on that, I'm not sure, but I know one thing I can tell you, Deloitte's got to go. And I want to bring in a team of outside IT experts to tell me, can this system work once and for all? Because if it can't, we've got to stop digging. It's $660 million. Even if we have to go back to the old system, and this is where I rolled out IT programs, even in Cranston, who gets rid of all your frontline workers like she did? When you're rolling out a system, you're actually supposed to staff up more because you know there's always going to be hiccups. That's what we did when we rolled out our online tax payment system. Even if you have to hire part-time people to man those phones to get through those glitches until you have the system in place, she does the opposite. And that gets back to that first part of the question you're talking about, the staffing levels. Staffing levels are critically important. And unfortunately, whether it's the veterans who, I dearly respect, and we've done a lot to help our veterans in Cranston, and I'll get to that in a minute. But its staffing levels is what is important to provide this level of service that we all deserve and expect, whether it's at the veterans home or even at the DMV or at DCYF. When I talk to, many of the social workers and their caseloads, it's beyond the national standards. No wonder you have kids that are seriously hurt. And the same at DHS, when you got rid of all those frontline workers, the experienced frontline workers that would have known how to, make an individual decision on the phone about this application. Where I would handle that, even internally within each of those different departments, get rid of some of these six-figure jobs, middle management on top of middle management, that she has added within many of the departments, make the cuts there and provide it back down into, the frontline workers. That's where we really need to provide a lot more services to many of us. So hopefully I answered your question. But on the veteran, I'm proud of what we've done, to help veterans. In fact, Cranston was one of the first communities that actually helped our 100% disabled veterans. We got the legislation passed in front of the council in an ordinance that exempted them for $250,000 off their property taxes. Wow. As a way to thank them for their service. And that, I hope, will translate. And we had to get the naming legislation at the State House to get that done, but we did. And hopefully, many other cities and towns will do that too, because, while the Veterans Home is great, I'd love to be able to keep many more of their veterans at home, in their environment, where, as a healthcare provider, we thrive better in our own environment with our close family and friends close to us.